Okay, so here we are. It's your first full week of class, and I'm already having to do some supplemental material online. So if you read my email, I said that I was eating popcorn this afternoon and a kernel. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I'm pretty sure it cracked one of my bottom left molars. It hurts pretty bad, not so much when I talk, but definitely when I drink water and eat. So tomorrow I have a dental appointment, which means I can't be in class because they're probably going to numb up my face and I'll be drooling all over the place or something like that. So what I want for you to do is watch this video and then continue with the plans for class. So we'll have to do the millennial stuff when we meet again next Tuesday. But the calendar says that you should read a handout called Writing Process, which is in the additional readings folder on your Blackboard course. So please read that thoroughly because you will need it for your assignment to turn in to get credit for class. So I just want to go over a few points here about the writing process. You'll have to do a lot of studying of the readings. I'm not going to cover them all because I wasn't actually going to talk about them all in class anyways. I was going to have you do the activities. But I want to cover just the main tenets of the writing process. So first and foremost, the writing process is called a writing process because it's a process. Right? So writing is not something that you just start and finish. It doesn't just happen in these very specific stages in a linear fashion. Writing is a very windy, curvy process that maybe you start here and end here and then change and rewind and redo things, right? So if you're not starting at point A and ending at point B, you're starting at A and then you're going from B to C to D, but in various orders, right? So it's not just this linear thing, which for some people is kind of fun, especially if you're into writing and art and stuff like that, because it becomes more like a project. Oh, my dog. Do you hear her sneezing? Yeah, there she goes. So anyway, so some people like the writing process because it does sort of go all over the place until you get to the final product. Other people hate the writing process because it is sort of curvy and winds around a lot. So what can help throughout that, especially if this isn't quite your thing, is knowing what steps you can take. So first, we have pre-writing. Pre-writing is anything that happens before you start writing. These are the moments when you're reading your prompt, sitting in your car thinking what the hell am I going to write about? This is when you start brainstorming. Maybe you start doing some free writing or making lists. You might talk out your ideas with a friend or even me. But these are the things that you do before you actually start writing to gather potential ideas. This is not your final idea. This is the start of your potential idea. Next, we move into planning. So planning is what happens once you kind of know what you're going to write about. So let's say you're going to write about, I don't know, the health benefits of exercise, right? This is where you start laying out what topics or points of conversation you're going to cover. So here you will know kind of what research you'll be using. You will know a little bit about your outline. You will also know, I like to say generally your thesis statement, but your working thesis statement. So this is the point where you have done your pre-writing, you kind of sort of know what you're writing about, and now you're putting it into some sort of order. You still haven't written your draft yet, though. I recommend that at this point you do make an outline before you go any farther. The next step then is drafting. So drafting, generally if I see you face to face, I would ask you, how many times do you think you draft? And I get all these random numbers, 2, 5, 10. There's no number to put on drafting. You draft as many times as you need to until your paper is done. It's as simple as that. So when I was in college, I would draft for weeks sometimes, right? So you should be prepared to be doing a lot of drafting. If you think that you'll be able to write your paper once and turn it in, or write your paper and edit it once and turn it in, you are sorely mistaken. You will need to be drafting multiple times. But drafting is where you actually begin to write your essay. So this is where you start putting your ideas into real, tangible form on paper. So pre-writing, planning, drafting. So they do not necessarily have to be done in that order. Pardon me. So pre-writing will probably always come first because you need to read your draft and at least think about it a little bit. You need to read your prompt and then think about it a little bit. So pre-writing will be first, but then you might actually draft a little bit. That's actually what I do. So I think about my topic, I write some ideas out, then I go back and I plan. I'm like, okay, what ideas do I have here? And I start putting things together. And then I go back and draft more. And then I go back to planning. And then I draft some more. And then sometimes I either go back to planning or other times, sorry, my computer's a little delayed here. Then other times I go all the way back to pre-writing and say, wait a minute, now what do I have? So there are a lot of different ways to do this, but what's most important to know is that you don't have to do pre-writing, planning, drafting, right? You can switch back and forth between them as much as you need to until your paper's finished. Then the other thing that you would have to think about is polishing, which we break into two categories of editing and revising. So editing are small changes. I'm sorry, I have like a million Facebook messages coming in for some reason and it's really delaying my video. Editing is small changes. It's things like punctuation, grammar, typos, these small sorts of things. Revising is big changes. It's global changes. It's changing your thesis statement, reordering your paragraphs, changing your topic altogether, adding a new paragraph, taking a paragraph out. So revisions are big. Editing is small. Pardon me. So I will tell you, the big changes revising are much, much more important than editing. So yes, editing is important. You should pay attention to your commas and your punctuation and your grammar, right? You want a clean, polished paper. But when it comes push to shove at the deadline, if you have to pick editing and revising, pick revising. Pick the big changes. I do grade you in this course for your editing, being able to turn in a polished product. However, I am much more interested in your content than your commas. So revisions come first, editing comes second. Now, just like everything else in the writing process, you can switch back and forth here too. So often I move between planning, drafting, and revisions over and over and over. So I pre-write, I draft, I plan, I draft, I polish. And then I draft, pre-write, plan, polish, moving through those 4 stages in any various combination. It's nice sometimes to stop and just look at what you have and start polishing it and editing it, because that can save you some time later and can also make sure that you're refining your ideas. So I get it. If you don't like writing because there's no clear order, I get it. But do know that there are steps and stages along the way that you can work on. Pre-writing, planning, drafting, and polishing. Now, it's up to you how you work within those 4 steps, and that's something you might be able to uncover more throughout the remainder of the semester, over the next 15 weeks or so, but it's a place to start. I want to talk a little bit more about pre-writing though, because for most students and professional writers too, this is the hardest part. Once you kind of get your ideas down and going, that's the easy part. It's trying to pick a topic. So in this class, I will not be providing topics for you. I will be providing the genre of paper, but you will be responsible for developing your own topic. So first and foremost, when you're developing a topic for this class, and your other classes, you'll need to talk to your instructors about what they want. But in this class, 1, you need to write about what you care about. Do not pick a topic that you think I will want to read, that you think your classmates will want to read, that you think your parents want you to write about. Right? The topic needs to be something that you and only you specifically care about. Because when you write about something you care about, the passion shines through. If you're writing something, it's like the most boring, miserable thing you've ever done in your entire life, your paper is also the most boring, miserable thing I've ever read. But when you care about it, it shines through, and suddenly I find that I care about it too, right? Because there's so much passion. So number 1, write about what you care about. So that can help you at least figure out where you kind of sort of want to start. Number 2, what I often like to do is to just write. It's called free writing. It's where you sit down, you're like, I'm going to write about the health benefits of fruit. And then you're like, apples are healthy because, pears are healthy because, or whatever, right? It doesn't need to be highly intellectual. It doesn't need to be super researched. You're just writing for the sake of writing. And if you keep doing this, usually for about 15 to 30 minutes, you will find that you start getting somewhere that you can work with, okay? That's one way. Other people like to make lists about their potential topics and just see like how things take shape, what sort of ideas they can come up with, and narrow the list down to one thing they want to write about. That's nice too. That's not my practice, but that doesn't mean it can't be yours. There are other ways that you will see through the reading about how to pre-write and generate ideas or topic ideas for your papers. So take your time to look through those. I encourage you to try a different style than you're used to when we get closer to writing a paper, because you never know what's going to work unless you try. And you might be like, man, this free writing thing not working. Now you know, right? Or you might try it and be like, whoa, that was the easiest it's ever been for me to develop a topic. So it's really important that you give these methods a try. We're not in college because we're learning to do the same things we've always done. We're in college to learn new ways of doing things. So I really, really encourage you to try new ways of generating topics. Another way of generating a topic that's helpful for most people, to talk about it. Just talk to your friends, talk to me, talk to yourself. I love to talk to myself. I sit at my computer often when no one's around. And I just say like, okay, what do you want to write about? Right? And I just sort of ask myself these questions and I answer them, but that can be really helpful too. But again, read through the reading for class, and that should also help you find some ideas. Also, when generating a topic, when you are pre-writing, it is extremely important that you remember to narrow your topic. A big, broad topic is too much, right? It's too much to cover in an essay of our length. Our essays will usually be somewhere between 3 and 7 pages, depending on where we are in the semester. If you have a huge topic and you're trying to fit it in 3 pages, you have too much information. So you want to take a sliver, just a fraction of that topic to cover. So, for example, let's say you want to, I always use fruit as my example because I like fruit. Let's say that you want to write a paper about fruit. So instead of writing about the health benefits of fruit, maybe you write an essay about the health benefits of acai, right? Acai is like this superfood berry. If you haven't had an acai bowl from Surfberry at Wrightsville Beach, you should, right? So instead of writing about all fruit, now you could write about just acai, right? Just that berry. Even better, you might say something like the health benefits for women who eat acai, right? So, cutting down your topic even more. So you want the most specific topic that you can think of, so that way you can give depth of information. So for example, I had a student many years ago who wrote a 3-page paper about the causes of World War I. No, right? That is way, way, way too big. Maybe instead he could have written a paper about a very specific incident in World War I, like the Christmas truce or something like that, right? That would have been much better. So when you are generating your topics, take the idea that you want to work with and narrow it down, right? That's super important. Narrow your topic. The other thing I want to say too about pre-writing is it's important to do research. You need to know what people are saying, what the new relevant information is about a topic, because you don't want to say things that people have already said. What's the point, right? The point of this isn't to regurgitate information. The point is to create something new. So while you're working on the pre-writing and planning and even still the drafting stage, you should be looking up information about your topic. And we'll talk about how to get research done, but for now, general Google searches will help. Wikipedia is not a place for you to end, but it's a beautiful place for you to start, right? What's going on? What are some key terms? What are some relevant things happening? What is the current stance or information about this topic? You need to know what's going on, okay? So the other parts of the writing process we'll talk about a little bit later as we get closer to your first paper, which I have not scheduled that date yet, but we will get there. But first things first, I just want you to start thinking about your writing process. What is it that you do? So watch this video 10 times if you need to. My battery on my computer is about to die, which is perfect timing because I'm done. I will be emailing you this video, and attached to that email, or within the body of the email will be an assignment that you need to do in lieu of being in class. So I will see you Tuesday, hopefully with a tooth that does not hurt anymore because it hurts when I eat cold stuff. And how am I supposed to eat my ice cream if it hurts when I eat cold stuff? All right, see you next time. Bye.